The final thing we'll show in this presentation is the final rendered scene. Now everything you see here was modeled and rendered up to this point except for the background effects. We have some lens flares and some depth blur effects. Here's the final scene, everything we've modeled throughout the demonstration so far, everything except for the background mountains, but I think you can figure that out, just a picture of mountains on a surface. So there's our penguin walking across the path, making his little footprints in the little snowdrift there. What we want to do is animate the camera so he sort of spins around the penguin and follows him wherever he goes. So we can take the center of interest of the camera and click on the penguin, and you can see that automatically follows wherever the penguin goes. We can click on the eye point in the circle. Now the eye point of the camera follows along the circular path, and I can drag and drop the circle into the penguin animation group. So of course the circle follows wherever the penguin goes, and the eye of the camera follows along the circle. And that's how we get this nice little animated view in which the camera is spinning perfectly in a circle around the object and follows wherever the object goes. This is in wireframe. We can also play this back in interactive shaded using OpenGL. But for the final rendering of the animation, we need to use render zone. So we do a render zone ray trace rendering of the scene. And we end up with the final rendering that looks like this. Now we can leave it as is, or maybe add some post-process effects to even spice this up a little more. So what we can do is maybe go into the post-processing features here and maybe change the background. Right now it's solid white. Let's change that to something else. How about a procedural sky? You can set your own type of sky, the types of clouds and the sun position. You can use polka dots or any background image. In this case, we have an environment image used as the reflections on the ice. So we can actually show that in the background. Exposure correction. We can actually reduce hotspots on the surfaces and bring the color of the texture back out. We can also add some depth blur. So even though it's a 2D pixel image, it still has 3D depth information. We can also add some lens flares based on hotspots on surfaces or direct exposure to a light source. You can see it picks up the sample luminance value in lux. Choose the shape of the lens that you want. Find any hotspots that are on those surfaces. And all the stuff will be added to the rendered image. It does not re-render the image. It renders the frame once and then just adds the post-process effects into that afterwards. And then all you have to do is render all the frames out to create the standard QuickTime Movie or Windows AVI file. And this was rendered using a single pass in formz, meaning we render all the frames out. And all the post-processing effects that we added for depth blur and lens flare were actually added to each frame after each frame was rendered. This is by no means all the tools in formz. This is just a small sampling of just some of the many modeling, rendering, and animation capabilities that are offered in formz. Be sure to watch some of the other demos and presentations to see some of the other features that we didn't have time to show. And hopefully you can see how, from the tools that we did look at here, how you can apply those to your own particular applications, whether it's architecture, or product design, or game design, Hollywood users, whatever your discipline may be. This is the end of the Penguin demonstration.